Honestly, you guys, that was definitely a bitter pill to swallow tonight. I think all of us had the expectations that tonight we were going to get that result, secure those 3 points, and or at least get a point, get a result or something, so we can book our place for the UCL spot for next season. That wasn't to be the case today, which is very frustrating and very annoying because tonight was the night that Liverpool got to lift the trophy after the game. So I was really hoping that at least we can put some sour faces on them in hopes that they suffer the defeat today. But, after the game was over, my thoughts and opinions became a bit different. Immediately my reaction after the game was disappointment and anger. But to keep things real, you guys, acceptance just really flooded in. I think we have to accept the fact that right now Liverpool are the club that we are trying to be in that sense. Throughout the season there have been so many comparisons drawn between us and Liverpool, especially in regards to our current development and our hopes and plans to be that big force again in European football. So in that sense, with how we play, with how we are recruiting players as well, with how we've introduced some academy players into the team as well, there have been some fair comparisons drawn with Liverpool. But tonight, you guys, hands up, Liverpool showed us the levels that we still need to aspire to. They showed us the levels that we still need to work hard for. Today was one of those games where I can't even say that we were absolutely terrible. I mean, of course, there were some big moments that defined our game, some big mistakes that costed us in the end, but I still saw application and desire from the players on the field today, especially in that second half and that fight back looked like we were going to secure something at the end of this game. You guys, looking back throughout the entire game, there were definitely some very good moments, and I think the one pivotal point that really just sums up the separation between us and Liverpool right now was the cross that Reece James put in very early on. Now, Mason Mount was the player to get on the end of things, and I think collectively as a fan base, we all just hoped and prayed that that was going to be Olivier Giroud instead. Fast forward to the second half, Liverpool make it 4-1. An identical situation, an identical type of delivery from TAA as well. And he finds Firmino, who has that quality to put the ball in the back of the net. And I think that's where Liverpool really punished us tonight. Of course, they naturally profited from the mistakes that we made, and it's been these individual mistakes throughout the entire season that's definitely cost us, and it's something that I feel the only way to rectify the situation is to dip into the market and sign better players, because a lot of times we are losing games due to the limits of certain players in the field. I think that's very safe to say. I think that ideally Lampard, he'd like to really push forward even more, but he understands, especially in the second half, that we don't necessarily have the personnel with the pace at the back to help us against the counter-attack. So it's been things like that that have definitely cost us throughout the season. But for me, the reason why I've just accepted this loss against Liverpool are due to the moments of quality that Liverpool possess that we just don't have right now. Now, we saw glimpses of that in particular from a ridiculous cameo from Christian Pulisic. So come on, get 2 goals. He could have scored a hat-trick in his periods, and throughout the entire game, his involvement, he was looking to take the game to Liverpool. He was looking to get past this man. He was positive. He was testing the keeper from shots outside the box, some very acute angles. Christian showed that drive, and it's no surprise to me that Jurgen Klopp was desperate to sign Christian Pulisic. I mean, imagine Pulisic in this Liverpool team. It would just be absolutely illegal. I mean, I'm still getting these flashbacks of his assist for the first goal. I mean, that was like a Gianfranco moment. That was like a Gianfranco Zola moment. That was like an Eden Hazard moment. We've seen our classic dribbling flair players produce these moments of brilliance against Liverpool, and tonight Christian produced his very own. So I think this sums up the exciting future. This sums up what we can expect from Christian as he develops, as he gets even more clinical, as he gets even stronger, even faster, even better. I mean, the guy really is looking like an absolute talent, and if he keeps it up, we could have a very serious player on our hands. So Christian definitely was one of the shining lights in this game, and to be honest, it was those second half subs that Lampard made that really brought some energy back into the game. Now, I was reading a lot of discontent on social media, a lot of people speaking about Lampard. Why didn't he start Christian? Is he purposely trying to lose us the game? We have to give Lampard some more credit, you guys. We can't celebrate moments with him when he gets that win for us, and in times of difficulty like this, turn against them. It's not supposed to work like that. I mean, it's obvious that Christian wasn't fully fit, and I think it's obvious too that Lampard isn't going to play a weaker team in a big game like this. Lampard felt that he was forced to use this lineup that, beat Man United very convincingly. But I think the main issue today with that team was that we looked too lethargic, and it does make quite a bit of sense. Against Man United, the team used a ton of force, a ton of energy. They pressed like crazy. We saw it for ourselves. We saw the replays. It was a very intense game, and it was quite obvious, especially with the attacking players, that Mason and Willian, they looked a bit sloppy, and I think that sloppiness came down from the lack of match sharpness. Their first touch wasn't too great. Their creativity, their pace, their runs and behinds, everything felt a yard too slow, and in that sense, it was very easy for Liverpool to just regroup defensively, keep their position, and kickstart attacks again. And then from that point on, as we've touched upon already, those individual mistakes came in, and they came in hard. Now I want to speak about the goals that Liverpool scored, starting with the first one, and I can accept that this moment was quite unlucky in that sense. I think the pace of the ball that just swerved away from Willian, that forced Willian to, not really predict the movement of that ball in that situation. He unfortunately makes a mistake, plays in Keita, and for me, I do feel that Rudiger should have pushed out very aggressively to close that space down in front, because I think it was quite obvious, it was telegraphic that Keita was going to blast the ball from outside the box. Now, Liverpool seem to keep targeting that right hand side consistently, and it wouldn't be surprising to me that Liverpool know that maybe that area is like a weakness for Kepa, because they've scored so many goals down that right hand side. So we really missed out on that. I think a lot of credit has to go to Keita for that goal, because that was an unreal shot. And then we move on to the second goal, and if that second goal doesn't go in, I think the entire complexion of this game becomes completely different. I don't understand how that was a free kick at all. Yeah, I really don't understand that one. That was never a free kick. That ball was one fair. Yeah, that was a hard one to take, because I think we all kind of knew as well that, TAA was going to score from that free kick. That was the goal, you guys. If that goal didn't go in, I think things looking a bit different for us. And then moving on to the third goal, some more unlucky moments of ricochet from a set piece. But for me, I think it's another mistake we create for ourselves. It was quite obvious throughout the entire game that there was some miscommunication problems. I don't know how that was the case. Do we blame that down to the fireworks outside? I don't think we can. That would be nonsense, because, they're playing in an empty stadium. Normally, fans are packing the stadium out, and they make a ton of noise. I can't imagine anything like that would happen. But it felt like the communication today just wasn't effective. Kova, I don't know what he was doing marking the near post. I think in his defense, Giroud called for it. But unfortunately, Giroud, he didn't really position himself too well to clear that danger. So, from that resulting mistake, very easy goal for Liverpool to score, 3-0. We do manage to get the goal to make it 3-1. Nice bit of play, making it 3-1 by Olivier Giroud. But, we were all hoping collectively that Lampard was going to make some subs straight away to help just change the tempo of the game, so we come out hard and fast against Liverpool in the second half. But unfortunately, that wasn't to be the case. Now, was that Lampard maybe thinking the game against Wolves is the big one? I mean, 3-1 down against Liverpool. The chances of coming back to win this game is looking quite remote. So is it worth risking everything right now? Risking players like your Pulisic, who isn't fully fit and could be incredibly useful against Wolves for our final game of the season. So, the reason why I bring this up isn't an excuse. I don't like when people dismiss my points and call them excuses as if I have some agenda or something I care about to defend. Honestly, it's really not like that whatsoever. I'm just trying to understand maybe why Lampard would have maybe taken his time to make those subs, because the minute he did, that burst of pace, that burst of individual flair as well, that was the difference. And in that sense, the game plan really came alive. I felt throughout the game today, we were creating opportunities out wide. How many switch balls from our centre-backs, were finding our wing-backs time and time again. And it was one of them ones where if we had greater quality in those areas, greater quality up front, consistently throughout the game, I feel like we could have really polished Liverpool a lot more, because we produced some good moments and good efforts against them. But as I've been just trying to stress the entire game, right now there's levels between us and Liverpool. They have the quality individual players that can produce anything from the smallest margins of error. With us, we need about 5 shots to get 1 goal. So that tells you everything you need to know. A young team that's hungry, that's still growing, that's only going to get better as they get older, versus players in the prime of their career. So, you know, long term, we'll look back at this season, I feel, and we're going to have different thoughts and opinions knowing that, wow, this was the season that really, you know, started to make the name for a lot of these young players in the team right now. Seeing the introduction that Hudson-Odoi and Pulisic had in particular was very impressive, and as I was stressing, the system really came alive once they came on, added some pace, added some ability between the lines. You know, tactically, I wouldn't say 3-4-3 was the reason why we lost. Ideally, I think Lampard would have used his standard 4-3-3 if we had the right personnel in this team. You know, we have to remember that we don't have Kante playing. I'm not sure what's happening with Ross Barkley at this point in time. And Loftus-Cheek isn't a player that can start a full game consistently at this point in time. So in a sense, Lampard was forced to do the best he could with the current available players he had. To give my closing thoughts, I think this game was a game that really highlighted how exciting the young players we have and how exciting their ability is too. For example, Reece James today, I thought it was a difficult game for him, but I love that he rose to the occasion. Of course, a few times it got done. That's standard against Mane, one of the best players this season, one of the best players in the world right now. In the prime of his career, I thought Reece James competed very well, and to play like this at 20 years old for me is quite remarkable. And, you know, continuing on with Christian Pulisic, first season in the Premier League, the way he's just absolutely destroyed his highest goal scoring records. Playing in the Premier League his first season, he's really adapted to things very well, and we're starting to see a player on the rise. Tammy Abraham scoring 15th goal this season, 17 goals in all competitions, 23 goal contributions throughout the season too. The first player from our academy to score 15 plus goals in the Premier League. So that is a massive achievement in itself. I predicted that Tammy would score 18 goals by the end of the season. So hopefully in our final 3 games against Bayern, Wolves and Arsenal, we're going to see Tammy get another goal. But, you know, this is what I mean. We are seeing promise from the academy. And I think to contrast that, it really tells us the players we need to let go to move to that next level. In particular, Rudiger did not impress me. He was getting done by Salah at times, wasn't looking as comfortable down that left-hand side. Jorginho, his forward passes went absolutely nowhere. And I think the most disappointing play from him in this game was for the 5th goal that Liverpool scored. For me, that counter-attack, it was telegraphic. Jorginho was in a moment to take down Jones, take him down, stop that counter-attack, pick up the card for the team, and then we could still have a fighting chance in the last 15 minutes to hopefully get the equaliser. That never came, and I'm quite disappointed that Jorginho didn't do that, because I thought that was standard for him. I really did. And of course, criticism goes towards Kepa as well. You'd think with a better quality goalkeeper, they would do a lot better in those moments. His positioning for the goal that TAA scored from the free kick, I was not impressed with. Too static, too flat-footed. He was too far down the left-hand side, and it's quite obvious that he never organised the ball as well too, because how are you getting blocked off where you can't see the shot coming? Very poor, very disappointing, and, you know, there's individual mistakes from certain players too that just don't help the overall cause. So right now is a moment of reflection, I personally feel. We have a massive game against Wolves. This is going to secure our fate for Champions League football for next season, so we have to, you know, forget about this game quickly and just get behind the team now. Hope that they can make things right in that game versus Wolves. And there you have it, you guys. That was the match review to our 5-3 loss against Liverpool. You know, lessons have been learned. It has been frustrating, but we also saw some fight back from the team. We saw some excellence from your Pulisic and from some of the young boys as well. So we can only hope for better things. I'll catch you guys later with some more videos.